In D&D and other tabletop games, reflavoring is when you take the mechanics of something that already exists, but reinterpret them through new descriptive lenses without actually changing them at all. And in this video, we're going to be using reflavoring to make 3 brand new D&D characters. But first, let me show you what I mean with the spell Fireball. You already explained it, you reflavor stuff. We can move on. I think it's worth getting into. As I was saying, take the spell Fireball. It has a range of 150 feet, and it explodes in a 20-foot radius sphere of fire. Wow. The flavor of the spell is the little blast of fire and the explosion. The mechanics of the spell are the range, the radius, the saving throw, and the damage. So by keeping the mechanics the same, but changing the way we describe what our spell is doing, we don't really need to build something new to make it feel like we have something new. And that is reflavoring. And now we can get started. Took you long enough. Anyway, now that we're finally done talking about it before we can do it, let's reflavor 3 characters. And I hope by the end of it, you are inspired to do some of your own reflavoring. Let's start with like a spooky Eldritch guy, but not a sorcerer because they're lame, and not a warlock because they're lame. A new kind. We start with a druid. Druids are usually associated with plants, animals, the forces of nature. Well, guess what, silly? If you do entangle, but you don't describe it as vines, you describe it as weird pustulating mycelia, that still works. And those little animals that you summon, well, they have to use the stat blocks that they use, but they can look like whatever you want them to look like, so just make them look cool. Don't forget that whenever you cast a spell, part of that spell is describing what it looks like, but a whole lot of that spell is just describing mechanics. So anytime you have to make a saving throw or something happens, and it has to do with plants making that thing happen, or nature making that thing happen, it's very easy to change that into cosmic eyes or pulsating tendrils. Now, as helpful as the Druid spell list is in manifesting into an Eldritch spell list, we haven't even talked about subclasses. Actually, you also forgot to mention Wild Shape, which is a really easy thing to reflavor, and it's kind of dumb that you didn't mention it. Because yeah, while technically Wild Shape is just turning into a bunch of different beasts, it's actually just getting access to a bunch of different beast stat blocks, and you can reflavor those beasts to look like whatever you want, and that can be really weird. I probably won't show up for the rest of the video unless there's something else that Cinder forgot to put in here, but I just want to say I'm disappointed in both of you. You could pick whatever subclass you want, but there's pretty much just 2 that work really well. If you want to be cool and do body horror stuff, you should go Moon Druid. You can not only wild shape into weird stuff, but wild shape into like really weird stuff, which is pretty cool. Alternatively, if you're looking for more of an elevated horror, more of a color of magic cosmic entity, check out the Stars Druid. This works particularly well if you want to lean into the Harbinger of the Apocalypse sort of priest, as you read the stars and manipulate fate and shine lights that lead the way. They're pretty cool. See, I told you it's easy. Stupid video. Over. I think we could actually do a couple more. We said we were going to do 3. So what if you want to be like a wind warrior, like an airbender? Ooh, that would be cool. Making an airbender. But a cooler airbender. One that fights with weapons and stuff. Fine. We're starting with Ranger, though. Ranger's a great place to start. They're a martial character, but they get some spellcasting. And you know what? I think we're going to get most of this done actually through a subclass. We don't want to talk about favorite enemy and favorite terrain? Why not? They're so much fun. The subclass we are going to turn into a air warrior today is the Swarmkeeper Ranger. And for the record, you don't need to use favorite terrain and favorite foe anymore if you don't want to. There's amazing optional roles in Tasha's. They're worth checking out. We don't need to have this conversation anymore. We can move on from it. Rangers are good now. They've always been okay, but they're good now. How are bugs gonna make us into a wind guy? Seems like a reach to me. If by reach you mean reaching for a drawer that's right next to you and very easy to reach for, then yes, it is a reach. just check out the 3rd level feature, Gathered Swarm. You're enhancing your attacks by knocking creatures around and dealing extra damage or moving yourself around a little bit. Sounds like wind to me. At 7th level with Writhing Tide, you get a minor fly speed. Can I think of anything that can manipulate the wind and gets a little minor fly speed? Yeah, fine, yeah, I hear ya. And if you rename Gathering Swarm into Gathering Gale, that's a nice alliteration. And then you can call the 11th level feature Mighty Gale. It just keeps working. And 15th level Swarm Dispersal, that's just you literally becoming a puff of wind. I don't want to call it Gathering Gale. Okay, fine. You do one then. I'm done. I thought that was a cool idea. Spider-Man. It's just important to remember that characters in fiction are very nuanced, and you don't need to take everything from that character and shove them in Spider-Man. You're gonna start with the Dampier. They're like a vampire, but lame. But there aren't vampires that you can be without your dungeon master being cool. So you're gonna start with the Dampier. They get dark vision, they're quick, and most importantly, they get spider climb, which, you know, duh. They also get a spider bite, and Spider-Man doesn't get a spider bite, but sometimes he does, so fuck it. And for class, we're picking Monk because Monk's basically just a regular dude and Spider-Man's mostly just a regular dude, and Monks spin around and kick people and punch people, and Spider-Man spins around and kicks people and punches people, and flurry of blows and step of the wind and patient defense and missile snaring and all sorts of dumb stuff is just good for Spider-Man. And we're also, for the subclass, we're gonna go the Drunken Master. You get performance because Spidey's always cracking jokes, and you get brewing supplies, which isn't exactly the same as like scientist supplies, but they're way more fun, so I think it's okay. And I thought we could interpret Drunken Technique as Spidey like doing those quick little web zips that he does in the video game. 10 feet of free movement and no opportunity attack, so it's pretty quick. So I feel like that could just be you going zoop. It's not that hard. That's a really clever interpretation of that. Shut up, let me just do it. Anyway, at 6th level, you get Tipsy Sway, and you could use Get to Your Feet to like Spider-Man, where you're shooting stuff at the ceiling and pulling yourself up really quick. And you can use Redirect Attack, where like shoot somebody, misses you with their weapon, and you shoot them with the your webs, and you yank the webs, and you swing their weapon into somebody else. I think it works better than it's supposed to work normally. I think it's cooler, personally. That is really cool. That works really well. Dude, I said shut up. How do you want to interpret the 11th level feature and the ones after that? I don't know. I'm probably going to get bored of this character after the 6th level anyway, so I don't really care. Well, I suppose that's all right. I don't remember the last game I was in that got to 11th level either. It's because you're a stupid, boring player and nobody wants to hang out with you, but they just feel obligated to, so all the games that you're in slowly fall apart inevitably before you have a chance to really accomplish anything great. Duh. It's just so cool. I don't understand why anyone would be anything else. You don't need armor. You don't need weapons. You hit so hard. You jump so high. You can take so many hits. You get to be a monster. I'm not even putting on a show. I'm just a little intoxicated. And I think that I don't understand why people don't want to be the Beast Barbarian. It's just the best one. This isn't even a bit anymore. It's just me.